可以試下睇下 share 唔 share 到 screen 咯。
screen 先。
一陣間係啦。好，我咧就搞掂。點解做 CTO 係咪好忙咧？做 CTO
還可以啦。等下我個咪好細聲，我試下先。
唔緊要，聽得清楚啦，聽得清楚。H 聽到清楚，係。有朋友已經喺 YouTube 睇緊我哋啦，啱啱見到，幾好啊！搞掂，好，我啱啱整咗個呢個 YouTube、Facebook 搞掂晒。
Dr. Ray 可唔可以你停一停個 share screen，等我 test 下嗰個？
可以啊，你試下睇下成唔成功，係啦。掂晒，睇到，可以睇下個 screen 好似係咪你可以將佢校得肥啲啊？係咪個 browser 你可以將個 window 再拉闊啲，可能會睇得到，因為好似有一忽冇咗，右邊嗰度冇咗。
啊，右邊嗰度冇咗係啱啱。
I mean 係啦，你即係好似個 browser 比較長身啲係啦，應該咁。
哦，OK。
咁樣好啲啊，好咁 OK 啊。OK，掂晒。好啊，非常好，掂晒。咁我哋做呢個 screen 咧，我哋可以休息5分鐘，跟住一陣間9點鐘翻嚟。咁我而家開始 promote 下先，叫啲人嚟，驚啲人唔記得咗嚟，係。
好啊。
一陣間我哋9點鐘準時開始。OK。
OK。
好。
咁我 set 熄啲嘢先。
係啦，你 keep 住呢個 screen 喺度得㗎啦，唔該晒。 時間咧就差唔多啦，9點鐘，咁我哋咧就坐定定，咁我哋睇下今晚有冇啲朋友仔係即係英文人先，係啦，我哋大家咪都聽得明廣東話咧嚇，如果聽得明廣東話，我哋用廣東話大家傾一陣偈啊，咁樣樣好唔好啊？OK。
好啊。
OK，好啊，咁我哋不如開始啦，事不宜遲。咁我哋聽聽阿 Parco 嘅經歷。咁我哋今晚咧就係呢個 CityU-EE 嘅 webinar 啦。咁我係 Dr. Ray。咁我哋今晚咧好高興咧就請到阿 Parco 咧嚟到我哋呢個現場咧，就為我哋分享咧。咁佢作為一個醫學生，已經畢業之後咧就認識咗一位即係教授啦。咁亦都同教授咧就一齊開間公司。咁喺背後咧，大家見到咧就一個叫 Health Hack 嘅一個活動啦。亦都係 MIT 嘅 Innovation Loop 啦，咁呢個咧其實都係我認識即係 Parco 嘅一個經歷啦。咁我知道 Parco 咧其實都係喺讀大學嗰幾年咧都好積極參與好多唔同嘅比賽啦，好多活動啦。咁亦都咧就喺MIT 嘅 Innovation Loop 咧就參加過比賽，亦都贏有啲獎嘅。咁我哋不如聽聽阿 Parco 到底係點樣嘅一個經歷好嘛？我哋將時間交俾 Parco， 有請 Parco， 唔該。
係，好多謝 Dr. Ray。好，咁好高興今次有機會可以分享下我嘅故事啦。咁首先咧就介紹一下，今次我講嘅 topic 咧就可能同以前嘅唔同 talk 係有少少唔同嘅，因為我睇翻以前呢個 EE webinar series 咧，基本上好多大家都係做啲好大嘅公司嘅，可能 Amazon Microsoft 咁樣。咁但係我嘅例子咧就比較特別少少，我就做緊一間好細嘅好 early stage 嘅 startup， 咁所以咧，亦都希望如果有一啲對 startup 有興趣嘅同學仔或者朋友咧，希望可以喺呢度學到少少嘢嘅。咁今日我只有一個目的嘅啫，個目的就係咧希望你聽完呢一個 talk 之後咧，你會覺得既然呢個人都可以做到嘅，其實都唔係咁難，我都可以做到。我希望可以激勵到大家去放膽真係嘗試下呢個 startup 嘅夢嘅。咁好啦，首先咧就要介紹一下我哋嘅公司。咁我間公司咧就叫 SolarMan Air Conditioning 啦，個名就有啲搞笑，因為咧我嘅老細個教授咧就係叫 SolarMan， 佢外號叫 SolarMan。咁呢個教授都大有來頭嘅，佢喺 MIT 攞完 PhD 啦，又做過 Bell's Lab， 做過 Concept Lab， 佢亦都係 IEE 嘅 Fellow 啦。另外佢亦都喺好多間唔同嘅大學做過 Professor。咁佢都係幾年前咧先喺 ASU 嗰度就正式退休咗嘅。咁但係退休咗之後咧，就翻咗嚟香港，就去開始做一啲 turbine 嘅研究。咁後來咧，我加入咗佢嘅公司啦。而家我哋間公司咧，主要咧就係喺Science Park 嘅一個 funding 嘅。呢個 funding 咧就叫 Incutech， 係一個3年嘅 funding program 啦。咁我哋基本上咧有一間 office， 有唔同嘅 grant 同埋唔同嘅 target funding， 去幫我哋做唔同嘅 R&D 活動或者做唔同嘅 marketing 嘅。咁呢個關於 funding 嘅，我後面會講多少少。好啦，咁我哋嘅產品係做啲咩咧？我哋間公司咧，其實就研究緊一種新嘅冷氣技術。呢種冷氣技術咧就十分之厲害。點解咧？因為呢個冷氣技術咧，第一我哋完全唔用任何嘅雪種，第二咧就係我哋因為有好高 efficiency 嘅一啲 turbine 嘅技術，加上咧我哋有好多 water cycle 嘅技術，咁所以咧我哋喺理論上咧係可以慳超過75% 嘅電嘅，對比起傳統嘅冷氣。咁點解我哋會做冷氣咧？其實呢個議題咧，亦都係教授十分之重視嘅，就係話而家全球暖化嘅問題十分之嚴重啦。咁但係天氣越熱嘅時候，啲人更加越嚟越需要去吹冷氣。你冇可能因為話我哋驚唔環保而完全唔吹冷氣，呢個係好難做到嘅。就正如有一個好出名嘅女仔，佢走去搭船去美國，話你美國人唔搭飛機 shame on you 咁樣。的確，我哋啲人類活動係會造成好多嘅污染。咁但係咧，事實上人性嘅事實就係我哋好難去為咗環保呢樣嘢而強迫大家嘅生活嘅水平都倒退。咁所以咧，我哋公司嘅宗旨就係，與其我哋去唔用，我哋更加應該要係用 conserve 嘅方法，好聰明咁樣運用我哋有嘅資源。 咁 conserve 嘅方法最快咧，就係我哋將我哋現有嘅技術所用嘅電減到最少。咁所以點解咧？喺呢個全球暖化嘅環境之下咧，如果我哋可以將冷氣嘅用電量大大咁減低，咁相信啊係會造成一個好好嘅良性嘅循環，令到我哋人類可以繼續享受冷氣之餘咧，亦都可以減慢呢個全球暖化速度嘅。好啦，咁悶嘅嘢講完啦，咁俾大家望一望我哋一啲日常嘅工作，可能大家都好好奇一間 startup 嘅 CTO 平時係做啲咩嘅咧？咁因為呢一個係一個十分之新嘅科技啦，咁所以咧有好多未知嘅嘢。我哋基本上公司創立咗1年幾以嚟咧，我哋一路都係不斷去做唔同嘅 prototype， 不斷去嘗試唔同嘅設計，跟住每一次嘅設計都要可能幾個星期至幾個月嘅設計過程啦，需要一筆嘅資金去砌一個 prototype 出嚟啦，然後需要一段時間咧去 test 呢個 prototype 嘅。而好正常地啦，因為呢啲嘢全部都係未做過嘅，所以咧幾乎每一次咧都係唔會一嚟就 OK。每一次嘅 prototype 咧都係你發現咗一啲嚴重嘅問題，你去改呢個問題，去到下一個 prototype 又發現另一個問題。咁但係咧每次咁樣嘅嘗試之中咧，就的確係你見到自己嘅設計越嚟越成熟，而且咧你個舊嘢嘅效能咧越嚟越接近你想要嘅嘢。咁呢個咧可能對於啲 engineering 嘅背景嘅人嚟講咧，都係幾過癮嘅一個挑戰嚟嘅，因為起碼唔係一啲可能比較偏向 service 類、維修類嘅嘢，你永遠都對住同一堆嘢。而我哋啲 startup 嘅好處咧，就係你永遠對住啲從來冇見過嘅嘢，然後要不斷 keep 住去學習，不斷 keep 住去思考。咁呢個係幾好玩嘅一部分嚟。好啦，咁咧就講一講。sorry 啊，係啦，咁我講一講我一路以嚟最大嘅感受啦。就其實咧Dr. Ray 啱啱話我一路喺大學以嚟都好積極咁樣啦。其實咧就唔係嘅，我呢個積極咧喺 Year 3之後先開始嘅。實際上咧喺 Year 3之前咧，我諗同唔少嘅香港學生一樣咧，入到大學之後咧，就基本上有一個價值觀嘅 crisis， 可以話係點解咧？因為有好多人由出世去到中學，去到考 DSE 咁多年嚟，身邊嘅家長、身邊嘅老師朋友一路同你哋講要努力讀書啊，考入大學啊，考入大學就有好工啊，就掂啊咁樣。咁但係好多人就係真係好努力，基本上全神貫注去讀書。最尾考到入大學之後，覺得我終於做到啦。但係佢哋唔知道入到大學之後，其實個真正嘅 challenge 啱啱先開始。有好多人甚至連揀科嘅時候，都係跟住佢哋父母或者老師嘅建議。其實佢哋根本唔知道自己實際上想做啲咩。所以我亦都認識唔少嘅朋友咧，係入到大學之後覺得好迷茫，點解自己讀緊嘅嘢係完全冇興趣嘅？第時究竟要做啲咩？好彷徨。咁我亦都經歷過呢個階段嘅。咁甚至咧，我係去到一個地步咧，個讀書嘅 motivation 係低到咧，我係會成日走堂。咁當然走堂呢樣嘢可能好多人都會做啦。咁但係走完堂之後咧，有時 assignment 又唔做啊，跟住去到啲 coursework 好低分嗰陣咧，就索性連 test 都唔去。跟住咧就不斷地 fail 啲科再 retake 咁樣。咁咧下面咧就係一個好恐怖嘅畫面，想同大家 share 下嘅。呢個咧就係我 Year 2嘅成 B。咁係啦，相信唔需要解釋。呢個咧就係當時嘅我嚟嘅，完全冇心機讀書，唔知自己想做啲咩，亦都基本上係處於一個放棄嘅狀態，諗住 hea 到畢業。咁但係咧，呢個亦都係我人生嘅一個轉捩點。點解咁講咧？就因為呢個 SAM 嘅成績咧實在太恐怖，所以咧我俾人叫咗上 department 嗰度 ，department 就話有機會要 terminate 我。咁去到嗰下嗰種震撼就係，即係由細到大啲人叫你去讀大學，成好似讀完大學就上咗岸咁樣。咁但係點知上咗岸 而家有機會俾人打翻落水，就覺得好彷徨。咁於是咧，經過咗呢一次嘅教訓，當然最尾好彩係冇 terminate 到啦。咁但係從此之後咧，我就突然間攞翻個動力，就係話我唔可以咁樣繼續落去，我唔可以唔知目標，亦都冇興趣去讀書。咁所以咧，從此之後咧，我就開始努力，一步一步咁樣咧，逼自己去更加嘅積極。咁後來咧，其中一個好好嘅轉機咧，就係我參加咗一個叫TEDdy 嘅課程。咁呢個咧係我喺其中一個 summer internship 嚟嘅。不過好可惜，我啱啱去查一查咧，呢個 internship 就已經中斷咗啦。咁但係咧，希望佢哋第時亦都會有類似嘅活動啦。咁呢個活動咧就係賽馬會去搞一個 program，就等啲學生咧去為啲老人家或者為啲殘疾人士去設計一啲科技或者產品去幫佢哋嘅。咁當初我 summer in 就參加咗呢個活動啦。咁呢個活動咧亦都十分之好玩，就係你用幾個禮拜嘅時間，你去探訪一啲康復接觸嗰啲用家 ，unstable，sorry 啊，真正地接觸啲用家，然之後咧再去大家分組去嘗試設計一啲產品出嚟。咁當時咧有一啲組咧就做關於 mental health 嘅議題嘅，咁啊包括咗有啲呢個柏金遜症同埋老人痴呆都係好大嘅課題啦。咁佢哋都有做一啲 game 去俾佢哋玩，去幫佢哋訓練個腦部嘅。咁我咧就我嘅 team 就做咗一個叫做 hardware 嘅設計啦。我哋咧就做咗一個類似輪椅咁嘅設計，然後咧入邊加咗一堆 safety feature， 亦都將呢個輪椅嘅樣咧變到好似一般你行街見到啲師奶拉住嗰啲購物車咁嘅樣。咁啊，當初呢個咁嘅 summer internship 完咗啦，雖然好好玩，但係最尾咧就present 完之後就我覺得呢個 idea 幾好，我想一路做落去。咁所以咧就開始本身做。
Parco，唔好意思啊，打斷。我哋啱啱有個外籍同學入咗嚟，不如我哋轉一轉 channel。同埋咧，你個畫面咧用咗呢個白色啊，你係咪
OK，
你係咪特登白色定係你 ？So now we are going to switch our channel. Welcome, Wanda again. Yeah. So please continue. Yeah, Parco. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. So coming back, so I was basically talking about how I lost motivation after getting into university because like many Hong Kong people, they work their whole life towards a university degree, and after they got in, they lost motivation and they don't know what to do with their lives. So this is me at one point in my life, and this have brought me to think that I need to make a change to be more aggressive, to be more proactive, and find my own path. And through a summer internship, I was working on a kind of a wheelchair project for elderlies. And I really liked the idea, so I started to think about maybe I should be doing startup. So this is the thinking process and what I wish I knew when I started off. So a lot of people that I talk to, that they say they want to do startup, they are very interested, and they have a lot of ideas, $1 million idea, whatever, right? So, but if you're considering startup, I want you to think very carefully about these following questions, especially if you are engineering background. So the first question is, do you want your idea to actually help people? That sounds like a stupid question, but it's a very real question, especially if you are an engineer or tech nerd, because a lot of engineering people, they think about some high-tech stuff, some very cool features that they want to show off their ability or whatever, right? But turns out that they are pretty much the only people in the world who want this kind of stuff, or only people in the world who actually use this kind of stuff. So if you have ideas that you think is cool, that will make you laugh or whatever, but if you don't think you want your idea to help people, then startup might not be what you want. But a lot of people do want their ideas to help people. So you need to consider the following question. Do you want your idea to become products? This is a very huge question because especially in software development, you can help people by open sourcing your code, and that's pretty much the end of story. You can continue to be a developer or whatever. But if you want your idea to become a product, you want it to become your product to help people, then you need to do startup. And if you want to do startup, the most important thing is not your idea, it's not the technology. The most important thing is business plan and business model. It's a really hard pill to swallow as an engineering student because all my life I've been thinking that technology changes the world, right? You know, iPhone, they come out, change the world. Tesla changed the world. If you have great technology, you should be able to come out and straight up dominate the whole market, right? But it's not the case. You can have a really good technology, you can have really good product, but without a good business plan, your product your company can die before your product even comes out. And even if your product comes out, your marketing is bad, then no one's gonna notice it, and your idea just goes to waste. So I hope you to keep in mind that business plan and business model is very important. Doesn't matter if you want to make big money on your project. If you don't want to make money, if you want to make it like a charity thing, you still need a business model for some sort of social entrepreneurship. You can function through government funding or other stuff, but it's still a business plan nonetheless. So you need to think about that. Yeah. So what is entrepreneurship? Entrepreneurship is business plus marketing, plus management, plus pitching, and plus a whole lot of other things, and sometimes involve R&D. That's entrepreneurship. So it might be pretty different from what engineers would think about startup and stuff. They think that startup is just maybe they develop some sort of AI algorithm. It's all about the R&D. But actually, a startup is a business. And business is all about the marketing and the business plan. And this is what startup is all about, entrepreneurship. So talking about entrepreneurship, I have a very cool program that I would highly recommend you guys to join. I joined this called MEMSI Bootcamp back in 2019. So this is a entrepreneurship bootcamp organized by MIT. So MIT have a innovation node in Hong Kong, which is in Kowloon Tong, very close to our campus. So they organize this bootcamp once or twice a year. They have about 15 to 17 Hong Kong students, and the other half is all MIT students. So as you can see in this picture, basically we have almost 1/3 being graduate students, and we are pretty gender equal as well. And the discipline is very wide as well. So what this bootcamp is all about is that we have a 2-week full-time bootcamp that we take a lot of entrepreneurship classes and training, including the things that I talk about, different marketings, different business models, and how to find your first customer, all those basic entrepreneurship knowledge. And then we will have a bunch of founders and investor sharings based on real life cases, and it's very cool as well. We'll also visit factories and incubation centers. You can actually see in real time a lot of different startups testing out hardware products. And then the main part comes in. All basically 30 students will form groups. We'll form into different groups, and we will, it's almost like a hackathon that will come up with an idea, and we work for a week for a pitch and a prototype. So this is my team back in 2019. As you can see, all my teammates are very, very experienced, and it was quite intimidating at first. You can see I'm only one of 2 Hong Kong people in this group. All the other people are from MIT. They are all doing master, MBA, or design. And the only other Hong Kong teammate that I have is a law student. So as a engineering student with not much experience, it felt intimidating at first. But from this experience, I realized that just be confident in your own ability, and you'll find that, well, you can be just as good as anybody is. Just because they are studying in MIT, doing masters or whatever, doesn't mean you are worse than them. They have more experience than you, but you have in some areas you have more expertise than them. And when you have confidence and you have critical thinking, you can totally work with these guys and you can totally contribute. So this experience was very valuable, and it also gave me a huge confidence boost in terms of my own ability. So yeah, so a little ads here. Next year MEMSI is still for, you can still apply for it. So if you have time, definitely do apply for it. It's not easy to get in, but if you can get in, it will be the experience of your lifetime. Okay, so a little more back on startup in Hong Kong. A lot of people with not much startup experience, they think startup as some sort of very glorious thing to do. They think that you can very easily get $1 million investment and you can just make quick money and you will be pitching everywhere. It looks very cool on the outside, but in reality, startup is basically the hardest thing you can do as a career. Because as a startup, you probably don't have customers and you need time to develop your own product. So what that means is that before your first product come out, before your first customer you can find, you will be pretty much self-funding all the way. It can take from months to possibly years. I've heard people who've worked part-time for their own living and to fund their project for a few years before the first product come out and before they get their first customer. So it's definitely very hard job. And also, because it's a startup, you don't have many people. Oftentimes you have perhaps 1 to 5 people. So what that means is that you'll be doing pretty much everything in a company. You do management, you do engineering, you'll be cleaning the office, you'll be the sales, you'll be pitching a lot, you'll be designing all your products all at once. So it's basically the most intensive job you can have. And the next one is the hardest one. Because as a startup, doesn't matter if you're applying for funding or you pitching an investor or you are pitching your customer, 90% of the time you get rejections, straight up rejections. 5% of the time, they'll try to be polite and give you false hope, and it will possibly waste you a couple of days of time to prepare for some extra information that they ask for. And 5% of the chance, the other party is actually interested, and you have to grab that 5% of chance to show what you are worth, to show what you are capable of. So honestly, it's pretty stressful and it's very frustrating because you are facing so many failures, not only in sales actually, including your whole product development and your business plan and stuff. I've heard countless examples that a startup company goes to perhaps a year or two into their business and realize that their business plan doesn't actually work. And they have to pivot. They have to change their whole business plan. They have to change what they do. So before getting into startup, you need to be prepared for this kind of challenges. And yeah, also say goodbye to holiday, because when you are the business owner yourself, you won't be having any holiday. You won't be having any day off. Okay, so if you're considering startup, this is one very valuable information that I get from a few investor friends and also judges from competitions. So a lot of people might think that the criteria of a good startup is their technology or their idea. But actually, no. The most important thing that people look at when they are investing or they're judging your company is your team. What does it mean by your team? Your team has to have a diverse background. That's very important. You can't have full team of engineers working on a company and no management, no financing, no business. It won't work. And basically, pretty much every investor and every funding officer will turn away from your application straight away. And the second most important thing is ability to adapt. This is because that basically most company, most startup will come across that their idea doesn't work, their product doesn't work, their business plan doesn't work, and they have to change a lot of things. And if you don't have ability to adapt and your team doesn't work well under this adaptation, then your company is going to fail. So ability to adapt is also very important. It's also very huge test to your team chemistry as well. And the third most important thing is differentiating factor. This is extremely important because you can have great technology. I can have great AI, facial recognition, voice recognition, whatever. But when you go onto the market, there is 100 million different apps that can do the same thing. So why do people use your app, right? So differentiating factor is also extremely important. It's basically what your company is defined by. So make sure that if you have an idea, you make sure you have a huge differentiating factor that cannot be copied very easily. And the fourth thing is the idea, of course. But unlike what many people think, the idea comes only in fourth place, not first place, because all the other stuff are way more important than the idea itself, because oftentimes you find out that there are flaws in your ideas and you have to pivot. And the final one is risk management. This is more for investor point of view. What do we mean by risk management? Is that a huge factor is whether or not you're doing software or hardware startup. Software startup have much lower risk because you have much shorter design cycle. You have much less capital investment. You don't have to buy in a lot of machines and whatever. But my company do hardware startup, which have very high risk, and we do need a lot of capital investment. So that's a huge challenge. And the other part of risk management is that whether or not you have customers already. Even though you are just starting out, you might your product might have just rolled out for a little bit of time. If you can find customer, if you can find early adopters, even just a few, it's a huge confidence boost for investors, for funding managers, because it means that there are people out there that like your product and will actually pay for it. So it means somewhat your business plan is valid. So this is what we mean by risk management. So like I said, the most important thing that people look at is the team. So how do you find a team? I would highly recommend you join different hackathons. I joined the MIT Health Hack back in 2019, I think. Yeah, and I won first runner-up, which was pretty cool. But if you are joining hackathon, you should keep in mind that price or not is really not that important, especially a lot of time the price is not, well, it's kind of controversial sometimes because the judges have very little time and it's mostly down to the taste of the judges. So if you don't win, it's no problem. Just make sure that you know the most important thing you try to find in hackathon is that you're trying to find a team that you can work with. So here is a couple of tips that I would like to give you if you're trying to join a hackathon. First of all, there are so many hackathons out there organized by large organizations, sometimes large companies. And they all have different themes. So make sure that if you have an idea in mind and you're trying to find a team, that you join the hackathons that best matches your theme. Because first of all, it will increase your chance of winning, which is always a good thing. And second of all, it will also attract people who are interested in this theme. So you can meet people that you can work with more easily. So that's the first thing. And the second thing, this is pretty hard for me because I'm pretty introverted, but talk to as many people as you possibly can. Doesn't matter if you think that they are exactly the kind of person that you're looking for. A lot of the time, I see people, I talk to them, and I said that I'm an engineer, and maybe they are thinking they want to find some sort of finance person or marketing person, and they just turn away, which is totally fine. But if you're trying to find a team, you need to have an open mind. Just because what you study doesn't mean this is the only thing you can do. And when you open your mind to talking to more people, you learn a lot about what other people think, and you will meet a lot of great people that will help you along the way. So talk to as many people as you possibly can. So the third one, which is also very common myth for people interested in startup, is that they keep their idea very secret. They don't want to talk to you. They don't want to share their idea because they think it's $1 million idea. I don't want people to steal it or whatever, right? But keep in mind one thing. Like I said, idea is only the fourth most important thing that people look at. And rather than idea, the most important thing for success is not the idea itself, it's the execution. So many people can have the same idea as you, and you don't have to be discouraged or whatever, because execution is the most important part. And what that also means is that if you have an idea, don't be worried, don't be scared to share it, because if you can come up with it, then chances are many people have also came up with it. The fact that you haven't seen anything is perhaps you haven't done enough research, or perhaps the previous execution wasn't good enough. So then you have some sort of reference that you can look at. But when you can be open and share your idea to different people, especially in hackathons, you find out that many people also have many ideas that they share with you. And this is how you can find a team, because you have an idea that you want a team to work on. So only by sharing your ideas with other people that you can find a team to work on this idea. So don't be worried, no one's going to steal it. And even they're going to steal it, you make sure that you beat them at execution. Otherwise, your product come out, then a ton of people is gonna steal it. You need to win in execution, not in idea itself. And finally, diversify your team background. This is very important, especially for engineering background people, because a lot of the time in hackathon, I see a whole team full of engineers, pure engineers. Basically, what it means is that in hackathon, they will build really cool prototype, totally works. Basically, instantly, you can just deploy the whole thing. But what it lacks is that it's a startup. It needs business plan, it needs marketing, and it needs design. If you don't have this kind of people, then your product is basically just a cool tech that people look at and go, wow, that's pretty cool. And that's basically it. It's not a valid business idea, and it's not sustainable. So diversify your team background. You need to find at least, you need technical people, you need marketing people, you need design people, and that's going to help a lot when you, doesn't matter when you pitch, when you're trying to design your product, trying to design your business plan. Also, it helps when you're pitching to investor or you're applying for fundings, because people look at your team and seeing a diversified background gives them confidence that this team is capable to run a company by themselves. Okay, so come to more usable information perhaps. So as CTU student, I want you to know that if you are interested in startup, there are a lot of help you can get from CTU KTO, Knowledge Transfer Office. And they have two major fundings. The first funding is a seed funding. Seed funding basically gives you a year and a half, and they will give you funding of $100,000 to $200,000. What this money is for is that they give you money to develop your product. And this is a very good funding because, first of all, it's pretty short and it doesn't have too much requirement. Basically, you just give them a plan, what you're trying to develop, and all you need to do is to use the money and develop the thing, and it's pretty much done. And it can help you, especially if you don't, as a student, you don't have money. If you need to do some sort of hardware stuff, obviously it's going to be expensive. Even for software stuff, you need to pay for cloud, perhaps. So this kind of funding really helps. And if you think this kind of money isn't enough for you, you can consider this CityU program. This CityU program goes up to $1.5 million a year, I think. It's a 3-year program, up to 3-year program. So you need to reapply every single year. So this is a little more harsh in terms of requirement because it has a lot more money involved. You need to stick to very strict milestone that you need to meet. If you don't meet the milestone, you might not be able to get your money. And finally, there is investment fund. But basically, if you don't have too much result already, you're not going to get any investment. But everything requires business proposal, which is, like I mentioned, if you're engineering background, it's a great time to start learning about business and a lot of business terminology that you need to learn. You need to have some sort of cash flow projection or whatever. So make sure that you have basic idea on this concept, and make sure that you find some sort of business or marketing people in your team so that you don't do everything wrong. So aside from university funding, I also highly recommend Science Park funding, which is I have experience in both of this funding. First is the STEP program. The STEP program is a pre-incubation. It's a 1-year program for $100,000. And on top of the $100,000, you also get access to co-working space, which is very useful. But the other one is the official incubation program. There are 3 programs. There is the app program, the tech program, and the bio program. So basically, if you do software, you'll be in the app program. My company is currently in the tech program because we are doing hardware program. And the bio program is for biochemistry or biotechnology. It's a 2 to 3 year program, and every year you can expect to get $120,000 in grant and $120,000 in target fund. And what is funny about this target fund thing is that a lot of people think that is reimbursement. You basically give them the receipt and you get the money. But actually, no. There are very, very strict guidelines into what you can use with this target fund. For example, you cannot pay salary with target fund. So that's already a huge problem for a lot of people. Also, ironically, for hardware startup, target fund cannot be used for prototype purpose. You need to use the grant money for prototype, but not target fund. The target fund is mainly for you to develop your business. You can use it to join different competitions and stuff. And also, a very, very useful thing is that in official incubation, you get your own office space. And we have a pretty small office, but as a hardware startup, an office space is very important because we have a bunch of different machines. We have a lot of tools. We have a lot of prototypes we need to put. So that's the incubation. So the main difference between these 2 programs, 1 is the time period, 2 is the funding amount. But the more important difference is that for STEP program, pre-incubation program, you basically only need to give them a prototype that you promise. So it's basically you take the money and you develop the things that you need to do. But for incubation, it's more business oriented. So they assume that you already have prototypes, and in the 3-year period, you might be working on a production prototype. You might be trying to do manufacturing trial runs. You will be you'll be starting different trial scheme. You'll be finding customers. So make sure that your design is ready for the market within 2 to 3 years before you apply for this program. Because if you don't succeed, if you fail the milestone, then you're not going to get any money at all. So To recap a little bit on the funding side of startup, expect to be self-funding for a period of time. You need to try to save up some money, try to do some part-time jobs. And for government fundings, if you're a university student, then you are very lucky because both TSU and seats are pretty easy to get in because you have a lot less competition. All the judging will be done within the university itself, and you're not competing with the whole entire Hong Kong, which is the case with Science Park. So for Science Park, like I said, you have STEP, you have incubation, and if you're just starting out, you want to develop a product to see if it works, then I recommend you to join STEP. If you already have a product and you're trying to grow a business, then I encourage you to try incubation. And also, if you have some sort of funding that you need to apply for, HKPC Productivity Council, which is also in Kowloon Tong, they have a patent grant. Yeah, you can go check it out. And actually, ITC, Innovation and Technology Commission, they have a ton of different fundings. Whether or not you're just starting out as a new idea, or you already is a startup company trying to develop products, or you are a mid-sized company trying to do different research and development things, there are a lot of funding scheme on ITC, and I encourage you to check it out. And one thing to note for government funding, which is I found out the very hard way, is that first of all, basically every funding for government is reimbursement based. What it means is that you need to spend all the money, keep all the receipts, and after you've passed a milestone, then 2 months or 3 months later, you will get your money back. So make sure that you have enough cash flow. Otherwise, you won't even have the money to do to achieve your milestone in the first place. You're not going to get any money. And also, every application takes a very long time to process. For incubation, for example, I applied for IncuTech back in, I think, September last year. And I got my interview in February this year, and I moved in May, basically. So it took more than half a year. And our case is already quite a quick one because we keep applying a lot of pressure to Science Park. We heard from other Science Park companies that it can take 6 months to 9 months just to get into the program. So don't have very high hope that you get accepted very quickly. And you need to have planned for this period of time, waiting for the result. And also, all the funding scheme changes very quickly. So you need to keep an eye on the different guidelines and funding schemes. For example, there is a researcher scheme for salary funding. So basically, when I applied for IncuTech, the guideline says that if you are a starting member of the company, you are not eligible for this salary funding. But after a while, my account manager told me that, oh, they changed the guideline. Now you are eligible. So make sure that you keep an eye on all the guidelines. Maybe one day you find out that what you thought is not yours. Maybe you have a chance. And finally, read carefully what items are reimbursable or what items are included in the funding scheme, because they all have extremely strict guidelines. And if you think that everything can be reimbursable, then you're gonna basically lose a lot of money. For example, salary, prototyping, accounting, legal, these kind of things, more often than not, is not reimbursable. Unless it's a grant. A grant means that if you get the milestone, they will just give you the money. They don't care what you do with it. So for grant, you can use for these kind of purposes. And for a lot of other fundings, you need to keep in mind what you can reimburse, basically. Oops. So yeah, basically that's all my sharing. So if you have any question, feel free to ask.
Amazing. Parco, yeah. This is Dr. Ray. I can see the number of people from YouTube keep rising. We have around 13 people now. And yeah, I think it's because your content is really amazing. You share a few things I would like to just highlight. You mentioned that you didn't put your effort in your year 1 or year 2, but there's a turning point. Maybe you talked to a professor and he told you that maybe you need to consider to kind of go another path. But I think that is a turning point that you realize you really want to go beyond. And I think Teddy will be another turning point. And then later on, when you join this MIT event, you start to realize you would like to go for this direction. Can you share a little bit more about, so at that moment, so when you see these kind of changes, do you also like get some support from your peers, or you only like talk to the professor or from your family? So what have you experiencing? So we would like to know a little bit more about how you convert into this path a bit more. Thank you.
Okay. So basically a little bit more on what I used to be before year 3. I've been very lazy and very passive. So when I first started out to have the idea that I want to do startup, it was pretty difficult because it means that I will have to join a lot of hackathons, talk to a lot of people, and work with a lot of people. And especially that I'm quite introverted is very difficult for me. And but what I've learned is that you just need to have the courage to take the first step. That's all it takes. Basically, it's like bungee jumping. You keep standing on the edge and being scared what I'm going to do. I don't want to do this, but I know this is going to be fun once you go into it. Just don't think about it. Just push yourself off the edge. You only need to take the first step. And then once you do, you're going to be surprised how much you get from just that first step. And also I get a lot of support from my family and friends, which is very important because it's pretty difficult to do startup. There are a lot of pressure. You work very intensively. So talk more to your peers, talk more to your families. On top of all the emotional support that they can give you, they can also give you feedbacks on your business plan or your design or whatever. So that's very useful.
When you say, yeah, feel free to type your questions here. We are reading it. One support message from Fire End. He said it's a wonderful sharing on YouTube. So my second question for you is when you say you're kind of lagging behind for this like a study, but you're still working on this like a startup career path. How do you manage your time? Because obviously you need to like catch up with your more coursework. How do you actually manage that at that time?
Yeah, it was actually very difficult, especially during my final year. So because there are final year project, obviously, and during the final year, I also am taking like 18 credits. And at the same time, I'm preparing for the business proposal for the TSU that I just mentioned. For your information, I failed the application. I did not even get an interview. This is because that back then, I did not have any business concept. I have no idea. And after I joined MEMSI, I learned about all the business and entrepreneurship stuff. Then I realized why I didn't even get an interview. So make sure that if you're engineering background, you learn more about this kind of concept before you go for application. Otherwise, you just take your time to waste. But back to the time management issue, basically, you just need to try your best. There's not much you can do. You have a lot of coursework, you have assignment, you have FYP. So there is almost 2 months of time that I'm basically working like 15, 16 hours a day, just work and eat and go to school and sleep. So it was pretty tough, but at the same time, it's also very enjoyable because I'm working on my own project and look, just seeing my project, seeing my ideas starting to come to life, start all the pieces coming together is very encouraging. So if you're working on something that you're truly passionate about, you just automatically turn into a workaholic. basically.
One question from the YouTube. So the student asks, what is your journey from like a 0.8 GPA to this self-learning machine? What actually motivates you? Yeah. So some people, I have some experience. One student, maybe they just give up and they go to maybe overseas for another degree, or they use the same BSc result and apply for another degree. So what motivates you?
Yeah. What motivates me? It's pretty hard to say because during year 1 and year 2, I skip every class. I have no motivation to study. But after the meeting with the professor, basically threatening that he's going to terminate me, just make me rethink what I'm going to do with my life, you know, because after getting into university, you just kind of feel like you've already done it, but actually you're just only starting out, right? So I think the termination threat is what drove me to think about my future, right? I don't want to, first of all, I want to get a degree, obviously. But after the degree, I start to think about what I want to do with my life. So I start to obviously work harder on coursework, but also at the same time, I start to look for more things that I might be interested in, such as I think a lot of people have a list of things that they would like to learn, but they never actually touch it. So I just gradually start to look at those things, trying to enrich my skills, and also just be more willing to talk to different people about life and about advice. You can go talk to a lot of professors. I think CTU professors are very nice. They really give you advice and they care about what you want to do with your life. So I encourage you to talk more to people and know that changes cannot be made within days. It takes months, it takes years, but like I said before, everything just take the first step. You take a first step, it's a very small step. It might be a 15-minute read before night. It might be just starting a conversation with someone. Just start with that really small step and then be consistent. Every day try to do a little bit more, and one day you'll be surprised how much you are actually able to do. So I encourage you guys, everyone must have something that they would like to do but haven't started yet, or started a few times but they failed. A lot of the time it's because you set the mark too high at first. But just know that taking small steps every day and trying to improve every day, and this is how you can actually make changes.
Excellent. I have to really say it, Parco, your English is very good. You managed to deliver your content really well tonight. So I know we have many university students here tonight. In particular, we also have parents and also high school students here with us tonight. So when it comes to the point that students, they need to choose the major, so maybe this is some common understanding. Engineering is very difficult, very a lot of coursework. You just mentioned you need to work 16 hours per day.
Yeah.
So people will start thinking, okay, should I go for this kind of degree? Is it worth it? So in your opinion, why don't you share a bit more with us, please?
Yeah, so I think it really depends on what you want to do. So for engineering especially, a lot of the time you do need a degree just to get any job in this field. So I even realized after I start to looking for a job that sometimes you need a master in engineering to get even decent jobs sometimes. So if you want to be an engineer, you definitely need to get an engineering degree. But in terms of major selection, I have something to share that I think electronic engineering, mechanical engineering, and mechatronic engineering sometimes the border are pretty blurry. So electronic engineering is more focused on circuits and sometimes antennas, also signal,
optics.
Yeah, optics, and a lot of programming as well, because within electronic there is more hardware focus and more software focus. So there is electronic. So for mechanical engineering, it's more like physics. I've heard that there are a lot more maths. So there's something to think about. And mechatronic is something in between. So say perhaps if you're interested in robotics, then maybe mechanical or mechatronic would be a little bit better if you're trying to like make a robot project, right? But if you're trying to study how to make the program AI smarter, trying to do all the data analysis or motor control, those kind of stuff, then you need to go to electronics. Yeah. So basically, if you want to just think about what you really enjoy doing and see which major suits you the best.
Thank you so much, Parco. Once again, I would like to say thank you to Parco for his amazing sharing tonight, and also with all your presence and support. In case you come late, don't forget we can watch the whole series. I'm going to do a quick sharing just to wrap up. I'm going to share the screen, and then you can see what kind of event you can join next. And just in case if you've missed out the early part for the sharing tonight, you can always go online to the website. So our website is called HOCHK. So you can see hochk.hk. And then you will find out the page, and then you'll find out there's a YouTube link. So this is a departmental initiative. You put this YouTube link, and then you will go to this page. And then you'll find out Parco's the whole sharing will be here. You can watch it again and again and share with your friends and also your parents. And then we also have some other former EE graduate like a KL Hui. And in particular, we also have some kind of a different coding, and also like a high school student will share. We also invite other university students to share. So we have a UST, we have a Hong Kong U student to come and share. So with that, we would like to conclude our sharing for tonight. If you want to know more, please come and join our meetup page, and then you will find out there's a bunch of important events coming up next, including tomorrow night we have Govt from ChineseU. He's the founder of Litecoin. And then coming up next, we also have Professor Wong from ChineseU. And also we have another one, Ben. He worked in IBM, and now he's a technical lead in this company in Hong Kong. And also we also have Stephen Lau, work as a researcher, at the same time doing a part-time PhD in EE department. We also have Vincent, we have Rocket, we have May. Our plan is to have invite one EE graduate to come to our webinar stage and to share with you all. We hope that you enjoy the night. Thank you again, Parco, and thank you, everybody. Yeah, this is the end for tonight. Thank you. 多謝晒 Parco，好精彩㗎嘛〜